Now, don't get me wrong, guys, there is a time for comfort, but I've summed up the three main feelings that we try to escape from. And really, I'm using words to describe what these feelings are, but at the end of the day, they're feelings. Like if you close your eyes and just feel, then you realize all these thoughts and words are not the real thing. It's in reality a sensation, and these are the uncomfortable feelings that we just are avoiding to feel. So that means a lot of the chaos is simply in our minds. So I've summed this up into burger syndrome. Now, that means there's boredom, there's rejection, and there's guilt. Some might say that I'm oversimplifying the spectrum of emotions, but bear with me because everything can fall into these three main categories. Now, boredom is where you have an obsession with shiny objects because literally anything would be more appealing than the sensation that you're trying to avoid. We'll get into some examples of the shiny objects that you think are the right thing to do, but really they're just shiny objects. And then you have rejection. To avoid the feeling of rejection, this could mean we avoid making plans, like we avoid actually setting up a call or going to an event. And then we avoid speaking, like sometimes we're afraid to say things because we don't want to feel rejection, so we stop actually speaking to other people and maybe just get pent up emotions inside. And then avoiding rejection could also mean not acting on the things we need to do. So because of this nagging fear, it's like doing all these menial, trivial tasks instead of the real task that matters, but that we're scared to actually do. And then the last part of burger syndrome is guilt. This is where we are rotting in self-pity because we're living in the past and thinking about the past and what happened and having this whole history. What are some possible shiny objects? Websites. Remaking your logo. Another shiny object. 99% of thoughts. Usually shiny objects. Quick strategies. Now, look, Facebook ads, having TikTokers talk about your product, there's a time and place for this. But overall, if you want to build something profitable and meaningful and sustainable, then it generally just includes doing a lot of the same thing for a long time. So quick strategies. And then in shiny objects, I don't think I need to explain that one. And then film and movies. Now, many people watching this video probably have the shows and movies that they love. I want to respect that and the way that characters start becoming a part of our mental real estate. I feel like this is generally a shiny object. And then you know how when you're checking out on Amazon or like you're at the grocery store and then you see all these candies and gum and mints and everything. Those are generally shiny objects. Now, let's talk about ubehlos. These are unshiny but extremely high leverage objects. This is stuff like contributing to conversations. So like you could go on social media and just consume it, or you could go into the comments and talk to the people under that post. That's not as shiny as just like watching a stimulating piece of content, but you're contributing to conversation and you're actually sparking connections. So that's a good object to do. And then there is booking calls. This leads to connections. This can lead to mentors, friends, clients. So booking calls is an ubehlo. And then there's posting content. This helps you to reach many people. It helps you to build something sustainable and organically. And then there's consuming the highest quality art. So there's inputs and there are outputs. If we're used to just watching AI slop and reading like short romance novels, then our outputs are pretty limited to that level of input. But if we can raise our level of inputs and consume like the classics of ancient text or listen to symphonies of Beethoven or something, for example, then this helps us raise our standards for what good looks like in the work that we do and the words that we speak. And then you have bonding with your family or with your pet. This helps you to feel good emotions, and that is important for doing good contribution. And then subtraction. So deleting apps or removing clothes or saying no to things is helpful so that you do less things but better. That is an unshiny but extremely high leverage thing to do. Now, let's talk about stagnation. This is the second parasite because this is what keeps people from getting into action. Now, SpongeBob is a titan. SpongeBob doesn't actually care about what's going to happen. He just does the thing. If he has like a wrapper from the gum that he chewed, or if he has like a cardboard box, he makes the most out of it and he just goes and sees what he can create. But Squidward plays the victim role because he doesn't actually take action. He just isolates himself and tries to get it perfect before he actually shows anyone. So like when he's playing the clarinet, he's freaking out before he actually has an audition because the whole time he's been alone and he hasn't been getting feedback. And when he sees SpongeBob having fun in his cardboard box, he's resentful because he doesn't know how to have fun. He only knows how to stagnate with doubt and second guessing himself without actually taking action. This means that the Titan starts somewhere imperfectly, and through iteration builds momentum. This means that yes, there is still isolation and solitude for processing and reflection and just being alone. And then the victim doesn't really have balance because usually they don't get feedback publicly. They keep it all into their own mind in their own room. And this leads to them second guessing everything. And it also leads to them chasing perfectionism, which just keeps them in doubt because instead of building momentum, they're stagnating. They're just trying to avoid and think before they actually start iterating and building momentum. Now, lastly, let's talk about aimless drift because we need to address the lack of purpose in order to make sure we are intentional about what we're really doing and staying with it. It's hard to stick with something if you feel like you have a lack of purpose in it. If we are the prey, then this is like being a log on the water. It's like, oh, if the waves go this way, we react and the log just bounces around like that. But if we can build an unshakable internal foundation, then we become a mountain. And the mountain doesn't care whatever happens in the waves of the water because it is stable and it is consistent. I don't even know how to really describe it for this video. It's just not something you think about like, oh, logically, I know that I care about this, so let me work towards getting that Lamborghini. This is logical, it's intellectual, but purpose is a feeling. Like you feel it in your body and it just drives you to do it. Otherwise, you have to rely on like external results and validation to do things, but you want to build this internal feeling where the purpose is just the work itself. Now, there are some tools to do this. You can have a big goal that you just like fulfilling, like a vision board could help. So it's like, you know, you're here to fulfill certain things in your life. You can also have a memento mori, and this just means like a reminder of death. So in my room, for example, or even on my desktop, I have things that remind me that I'm going to die. And this helps me to just come to terms with like what is going on in the present. What am I really doing with my life? Am I saying yes to all these people because I don't want to hurt their feelings? Well, if I'm going to die, then I want to make sure that what I'm doing is something that I can actually have like the highest contribution towards. So in terms of the action steps, I'm going to keep this very simple. First, identify the highest leverage task, whether it's in health or wealth and relationships. So like if it's the gym, then the exercises that will help you most right now. Identify that highest leverage task that is probably the most uncomfortable. That is where the growth is hiding. And then for 30 minutes every day, just do that and do that for 30 days. And that is it. So pick the thing and stick with it. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video and let me know if you like this sort of content. Have a wonderful rest of your day.